can't, for some reason, have the two together. Next. And what this has done is this has put us on this inevitable path towards destruction. It's put us on this path that in your lifetimes, we're going to be seeing global shortages of everything from water to food to wood to everything. We've been living this way for 200 years and it doesn't work. Next. Now, if you read the paper, you'll see that suburbia has become the slum of the 21st century, and this idea of building houses all over the place doesn't work. And the New York Times has been writing stories about this idea that suburbia, those suburban houses, are going to be places filled with crime and all these other things. Next. So, we typically build these little housing developments and we build them all the same way, and then we give them these pretty little names, and the names are supposed to make us think that it's something special. So, in a place like Florida, we call it Palm Run or Palm Dunes or something like that, and in Arizona we call it Cactus Way, and in Alaska we call it Moose, the Moose Central or whatever we call it. So we give these stupid names to these things, but they're all built the same way, and really we're just trying to gloss over the obvious. Next. So maybe what we need is a better name for suburbia, or something more appropriate to what it is. And this isn't Photoshop, this is a real town. And what's funny is that the mayor of Shitterton says that his biggest problem is that people steal the sign 4 times a year. But maybe this is a more appropriate name for suburbia. Next. Despite everything that we know about energy use and materials, the average size of a home has more than doubled in the last 50 years. Our houses keep getting bigger and bigger, and they keep using more and more energy, and there's really no point to it. Next. Now, in the 1940s and World War II, we encouraged people to carpool. We told people that they should share their driving to save energy, and to do it for the greater good, and to do it in the name of victory. And we put up posters like this that said, if you rode alone, you rode with Hitler. And maybe what we should do is revitalize this campaign and redo it and revise it to say, if you ride alone, you ride with Osama bin Laden, because essentially that's what we're doing. We're importing oil from all these weird places all over the world, nearly 70% of all of our oil, and we're just helping the terrorists, essentially. Next. And what we end up driving to is a place like this, a strip mall that has no character, no sense of place. We've designed the entire country so that way you can drive up and get as much disgusting, greasy, fattening food as you want. In fact, sometimes you don't even need to get out of the car. You can just go through a drive-through. And in doing so, we've destroyed all of our neighborhoods and any sense of place or culture. Next. But if you look, you can see what a sustainable city could look like. In fact, for hundreds of years, we've had these semi-sustainable cities. Here's a little hill town in Italy, and it's a sustainable city. It's a very small, compact city with very few cars, lots of density, lots of different people and different activities. And on the outside, what you don't see is a big giant Walmart like I drew in there. They understand how to keep the city compact and how not to spread everything. Next. And if you think about all the cities that people like to go visit, like Paris or London, it's not the strip malls and the greasy fried foods that they like. It's everything else. It's the people and the culture and the weirdness of the streets and the congestion and the density and all these things that make these places fun. Next. So what we need to do is redesign the house, and especially redesign suburbia. And not design the house for the car first. We need to design the house for people. And maybe if we do that, we wouldn't have to dedicate half of the building to a garage and make it obvious that the building's much more about the car. And we wouldn't need to pave over half of the yard to make a driveway. In fact, we could make a place for people and bikes to go. Next. This is a picture of 200 people. Next. And here are 200 people in their 177 cars, statistically speaking. Next. But here they are just on 3 buses. Look at the space that we could reclaim for people if we just did away with the car or designed our cities so we wouldn't need the car. Next. Here they are in one light rail train, and then here they are in their bikes. So imagine all the space that we could recapture for growing our own food, or for making a place for people to play, or for putting in nature again. We designed our cities to be for the car first and people, especially children, last, and we need to change that. And that's what you're inheriting. Next. Now, if you take all the Walmarts in the entire country and add them all up, the Walmarts add up to about 18,000 square acres of space. And what's funny about that is that's even bigger than the size of Manhattan in New York. So imagine all of New York City covered river to river, tip to tip, with Walmart stores. That gives you an idea of the scale of how many of these big boxes we put all over the country. Next. And then when we arrive home, we get something that looks the same as everything else. Whether we build it in Florida or whether we build it in Alaska, we build these houses all the same exact way, and they don't work. They're never quite comfortable. They take a lot of energy just to keep them heated and cooled when we need to. And 1 in 4 homes are built by those 8 companies down at the bottom of the screen. And in 10 years, 1 in 2 homes, half of all homes, will be built by those 8 companies. And they don't care about culture, and they don't care about people. They just care about profits. So they build these homes the same way all over the place. Next. And in the process of building all these homes, it creates an immense amount of trash. In fact, just building one home creates enough trash to fill one of the bedrooms, wall to wall, floor to ceiling, just with waste, with trash. About 50 cubic yards, 4 tons of trash that comes out of making one house. And the sad part is that all that trash, nearly all of it, 85% of it, is recyclable. And we could use those valuable materials for something else. Next. All told, to build houses, we produce 31 million tons of trash every year just to build our buildings. And 85% of that is all recyclable. And we could use those things to help people in need or lower the cost of building in general. Next. When we do build our buildings, we put plugs everywhere, and then whether we're using the plugs or not, they're sucking in energy. And we call these vampire loads because they're just constantly sucking energy out of the wall and adding to your bill. So things like your iPod charger, your cell phone charger, even when your phone's not plugged in, the charger's in the wall and it's still sucking energy. So things like an electric toothbrush cost you about $1 a year just with it wasting energy, which isn't too bad. But a thing like a computer, even when it's off, is still costing you $34 a year in energy use. And a thing like a plasma television, a big giant television, that has to always be heated and warmed. Well, that costs you $160 per year in these vampire loads. And it's all just wasted energy. About $3 billion a year wasted by vampire loads. Next. And we can fix these vampire loads by using a smart strip, either taking a power strip and turning it off when we don't need it, or buying a smart strip like this one that is smart enough to know when you're sucking energy and smart enough to know when you need energy, and it turns itself on and off automatically. Next.
Eric, this is Christine. So it's about 12:30, and I definitely want to give the students some time to dialogue and ask you questions. I'm sure they have many. So I just wanted to ask you if you thought this was an okay place in the presentation to take a break or to stop. I'm not sure how much longer the presentation is since it's my first time on the program.
I don't remember either, so.
Okay. So
I don't remember either, so this is a fine time to stop.
Okay, great. All right, hold on a second. Okay, great. So I want to thank you, Eric, for bringing us through there. I jotted down a few questions I have myself of things that you've brought up. But I want to open the floor to the schools because I'm sure with their own separate projects and based upon what you've said, they have many questions for you, or you might have questions for them about their particular projects. So Westmount Charter, if you'd like to start us off, if you have a question or comment, thank you.
Hi there, Eric. Once again, my name's Lucas. I noticed that in a lot of your designs you're incorporating older materials